everything you know about Ghostbusters is a lie. Okay, maybe not everything, but if you've ever wondered how the cartoon squared up with the continuity of the original film, this episode is for you. Take-Two is one of the show's in-universe explanations for everything. Why the characters look different, why the proton packs have a separate design, whatever you want. The catch-all answer is simple but kind of brilliant. So, the cartoon is the real world, and then the films we know are the fictional world that's based on the real world that's the cartoon, so the cartoon's real, and the movie's fake. Yeah, it's a little confusing. The cartoon being the real world and the real world being the fictional world is pretty meta, but for fans with a continuity hang-up, it's good enough. Personally, I love this kind of tongue-in-cheek explanation, though I don't actually like this episode a ton. It has some great situational gags and a few fantastic bits of animation, but a lot of it is just kind of boring. What does work, though, works perfectly. Take the opening sequence, for instance. A reporter is on the scene at the New York City airport waiting for the Ghostbusters to show up. They're 30 minutes late to a chartered flight to Hollywood, and the poor journalist is just stalling for time. When they do show up, the guy is livid.
Everybody's gone! They even cut off my live feed. Do you have any idea what I look like? Only a fool would stick around for this!
Yay.
Man, I love that guy. Can unenthusiastic fan be a thing? Please?
Yay.
Perfect. Not only is this a great opening, but it has this awesome intro shot of the Ecto-1 getting reflected in the enraged reporter's eyes. I love it. But what follows is pretty dry. A few airplane jokes and Slimer shenanigans. It's kind of boring. Though we do learn that Slimer's only been dead for like 3 years?
I've been flying for 15 years. How long have you been flying?
Weird. I'm just gonna file that away for later. Anyway, the episode drags on as we see a cavalcade of California tropes, egotistic Hollywood types, sunny beaches, and, of course, a population of universal surfers. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. As a Californian, I'm telling you right now, we don't all surf. Okay, I mean, I surf sometimes. I mean, I'm just awesome, but most of us don't surf. That's not normal. Unfortunately, most of the scenes are actually pretty boring. They just show the Hollywood execs showing the boys around the set. We do get a couple of important gags, though, namely the mention of the actual film's cast.
Here's the cast list.
Murray, Aykroyd, and Ramis? What's that, a law firm?
Still, I've gotta say, the episode makes a great use of its location. After the Ghostbusters accidentally blast a movie prop, they're asked to leave their proton packs in the prop room. Workers then come in to drop off the actual props of the proton packs for the movie, causing a mix-up that later leaves the Ghostbusters unarmed in the face of danger. Not only is this a good gag, but it puts our characters in a situation where they need to survive without their famous tools. Speaking of that danger, it's what Egon calls a sleeper ghost, a spirit that just wants some good old peace and quiet. The team wanders around sets from a sci-fi movie and a western and just generally wastes time for a while. Like I said, the premise, animation, and gags in this episode are all great, but it has a lot of dud scenes. It feels like there's just not a lot happening most of the time. Still, there are some moments I like.
Is open. The door is open. Is open. The door is a mess.
That seems like the right decision. I mean, that's a terrible feature to put in your car. There's also a scene where Slimer runs into a poster of the movie, which reveals the film's subtitle as Ghostbusters Suggested Phrases from the Fradwe? Sometimes I love garbage background text. After a handful of these dragging on scenes, the team eventually finds the real proton packs and confront the monster. But it's possessing a giant robot prop, and they can't trap it until it leaves that host. Egon, though, has a great idea. He decides to reason with it.
If only we could make it understand that in the final analysis we're trying to help it. There's no place quieter than the containment unit at home.
Using sign language, he convinces the ghost that it's in its best interest to be trapped by the Ghostbusters. The containment unit is the perfect, quiet place for a sleeper ghost. It almost works too, but then a loud, angry director bursts in and forces the team to take the ghost down the old-fashioned way. Still, it's a great resolution to the situation. It's different than a normal episode, sure, but more importantly, it supports Egon's character. He's not a Ghostbuster because he wants to rid the world of ghosts. He's a Ghostbuster because it lets him study the paranormal. Seeing him interact with the spirit directly plays into this aspect of his character. It's a really nice touch. The episode ends the exact same way it begins, with that poor, frustrated TV reporter. Yep, they're late to the premiere of their own movie, and wouldn't you know, it's the actual movie that kicked off the franchise in the first place. Well, almost. Instead of Bill Murray's voice in the opening scene, we get this guy.
Now I'm going to turn over the next card, and I want you to tell me what it is.
You know, he doesn't look a thing like me.
Overall, I really like that episode because it sort of just ties the movie together with the series in a really cool way. There's another episode that does that later, and we'll get to it. It actually ties directly into what happened to the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon Ghostbusters, who are the real Ghostbusters, hence the name of the show, immediately after Gozer in the events in the movie. And it's actually really cool. It explains where the uniforms come from, why they're different. It's good. But that's going to be later on. Speaking of later on, I am not keeping pace to finish these cartoons by the time the new movie comes out. And so that might not happen, but if it does, it's going to be because we're going to really take this off script. Instead of writing a script like I did today that I was reading off this computer here, as soon as we hit syndication episodes, I'm thinking of doing this syndication style. Episodes produced much more quickly on my end, much less FaceTime, and at a much faster rate. Maybe, like syndication, I'll even put one up a day if I can find time to record enough. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying the channel. For whoever you are that's watching this, you guys are awesome. And if you're not subscribed and you'd like to, why don't you press the subscription button down here and you'll be able to see when I upload new videos. And I don't just do Ghostbusters videos. In fact, those are probably my least popular videos. But I've also done a couple of video game things. If you click right there, you can see some video reviews I've done for a now defunct, but might come back, video series called the Alphabetical Backlog Challenge. If you want something a little more contemporary, why don't you click just below that, and we'll have this Star Citizen video I did about how I moved a vending machine through space. It was really hard to do. That's it. Hope you guys have a wonderful, amazing, fantastic week. And toodles.